Well, hello all. I'm sure that if you're anything like me, you had hoped that self-driving cars would have been here already. So what is the problem with self-driving cars? Oh, they bump into people, knock cyclists off the road and do stupid things. So today we want to solve the problem of self-driving cars running into obstacles. So I built this little buggy. We used it in a previous video. Consists of a Pi Pico, a motor driver, and a light-dependent resistor. Those are the three components, all reasonably cheap. Oh yes, and it's got a geared motor. And this car drives, we can drive one wheel at a time, so it can drive a bit like a tank. So how are we going to make sure that our little buggy doesn't drive into an obstacle? So this is, instead of this was a light detecting car, and it drove towards the light, and we got that to work after a very frustrating day. But how are we going to modify our program so that it will avoid obstacles? So what programmers do is they try to think of a thing called an algorithm. That means a method of detecting objects. How do we solve the problem? Well, I have here a distance sensor, and it sends out a beam, and the beam bounces back, and depending how quickly it bounces back, it can detect distance. We're not going to use that. Instead, we're going to just slightly modify our previous circuit, and this is our algorithm. So our truck is going to drive, I believe in dancing it's called sashaying. Our car sashays, turns left, then right, then left, then right. Why do we make it do that? So that the little sensor can look. And the sensor is looking for the clearest path. Instead of having the sensor on the car move, we have the car itself move, and it sashays along, meaning it zigzags. So this is the cunning part. This is the algorithm. We have a light-dependent resistor. It can measure the intensity of light, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to send out with an LED a little beam of light. First, it's going to measure the intensity of the normal room ambient light. Then it's going to send out a beam from the LED, and it's going to measure how much the brightness increases. So why is this so clever? Well, it's because if you are driving along on a road and your headlights pick up nothing will bounce back. But say there's a deer on the road, and the deer is standing here. All the light from your beam, okay, there's a deer. The light from your beam is going to bounce back. So you're going to see a bright object here. So the intensity of the light coming back to you is going to be greater when it detects an object. So we're going to measure without the light on and then with the light on, and if the light increases a lot, then we know there's something big in the way. Now suppose it's looking this way and it increases light and it stays dark, and then it looks this way and it increases light, and suddenly there's something there that's glowing back. Then it knows there's an object there. Then we're going to get our car to turn towards the darker side. So if it detects a change in light, it'll know, there's an object in the path. That object is reflecting light. And so we're going to head for so each time it looks, it's going to head for the darker, the part where there's the least increase in intensity of light. So that is our algorithm. And we're going to allow our car to wander, and if it wanders across an obstacle, will it be able to figure out a way around the obstacle by looking this way? Yes, that way the intensity decreases the least, then let's go that way. Or if it looks this way, the intensity increases more. That means there's an object in the way. So here is the Thonny program. We call it main.py or avoid.py. We import, the main thing here is import pin and analog digital conversion. We don't actually even need real-time clock. And we put the analog on pin 26. Then we dedicate 4 pins to the motor out, 2 to each motor. We turn on the internal LED on pin 25, and now we have a light shining out. It's like a car with one headlight on pin 15. Then we have 4 routines: left motor forward, right motor forward, left motor stop, right motor stop. Now here is our whole main loop, which just keeps repeating endlessly. We don't need these first 2 lines. We turn the light on, so the headlight is on. We stop the right motor. We start the left motor. That means the buggy is going to start by turning to the right. We leave it on for half a second. We then turn off the light. We leave the light off for a brief moment to make sure it really is off, and then we take an analog digital reading. Then we turn the light back on. Then we take another reading. Then we subtract the reading with the light from when it's light and then when it's dark, and it must be a positive reading. Then we stop the left motor. Now we repeat all of this with the right motor. So now we've got a thing called right difference and left difference. So the difference between when the light is on and when the light is off. So when the light is on, it's shining on the object. When it's off, there's no light to shine on the object. So obviously if the left detects an object, then there's going to be a bigger difference, or if the right detects an object, there's going to be a bigger difference. And anyway, now, depending on which difference is the biggest, we're going to let the motor go forward for half a second, either the left or the right, to turn it away from wherever detected the obstacle by the difference in the light. And then we leave the motor on for half a second, and then we stop both motors, and then we just keep on repeating the process. So all we've done is we moved the buggy half a second to the right, half a second to the left, and then whichever side we favor, the algorithm favors it, where it detects that there is the biggest difference in the light, that side it turns the buggy away from, to make sure that it moves away from the obstacle. Remember, the obstacle will create a bigger difference in the light. And so that is our program. Here is a diagram, a circuit diagram. We have our Pico. Pins 1, 2 go out to the one motor, 3 and 4. Pins 1 and 2 go out to one motor, 3 is a ground, 4 and 5 go to the other motor. They go via the motor driver to the 2 motors. Then there is a negative that goes to ground on the Pico, which is all the pins 3 along from either end are grounds. Then the positive from the motor driver goes to the positive of a 3-volt battery, and then it goes also, the negative also goes to ground. Here are our sensors. We have our light dependent resistor. One lead goes to pin 26. From pin 26 we also have a 10 kilo ohm resistance that goes to the 3.3 volt pin, which I think is pin number 5 or something like that. And then from the other side of the light dependent resistor it goes to ground, and the last thing we have is the LED, which gives off the light. It has a 200 ohm resistor that also goes to ground, and pin 15 turns it on. So let's just see. I think that LED should be pointing the other way around. But there is our circuit.